We'll first start off with the question of, there you go. What is your organization currently doing to ensure that children are physically active? You can take yourself off mute or you can type in the chat room.
Well, I'll start real quick. Statewide, Missouri Department of Health has their Move Smart childcare physical activity recognition. It's a voluntary recognition, but we're hoping that sites will take advantage of that. We, in addition to a workbook that goes with that, we have some physical activity laminated cards that people that have short, easy activities that people can order for free and get kids, get providers, get parents moving. And then we have the Go Knapsack piece. And I'll start with those. And I'd like to hear what other folks are doing.
Thanks, Lisa.
Well, I'll follow Lisa with statewide, and then others can kind of drill down. But like Missouri, we, as I said, we participate with Go Knapsack. We don't have a specific physical activity initiative now. We have had in the past, but we do that through Go Knapsack. We did, as a springboard opportunity through Nemours, we have had 5 trainers go through the outdoor play and learning environment. And they've been they provided each of the, within our CCR and our regions, our child care resource and referral regions, they provided a training last spring, and they'll provide another one in the fall. And just like it says, it focuses on how you can create your learning environment outside.
Thanks, Chris.
I did forget to mention PALS. We have Nemours. We chose this Nemours physical activity learning session springboard, and we had 30 folks get trained to teach that in communities across the state. So that is a 5-session training that provides really great knowledge on the importance of physical activity for children, how childcare providers can facilitate physical activity in their sites. And I chose that because I felt like it was a really nice bridge for Go Knapsack and a great help for all staff in childcare sites to understand why they would want to take on a physical activity project and why they should be interested in promoting physical activity. So.
Excellent. How about others? What is your organization currently doing to ensure that children are physically active? Let's move to question number 2. What are some barriers that you see within your organization when trying to implement physical activity programs or plans? So we're looking for barriers.
I'm curious to ask about language. Do you all see that being a barrier? Like, for example, individuals who English is not like their first language or things like that?
We haven't specifically had, had that come up, but it could definitely be, I could definitely see that being a barrier.
Yeah.
I do feel like one of the barriers is knowledge and a fear. I feel like a lot of times the adults in sites don't always feel comfortable leading physical activity or understanding the importance, like with the statistic that Eric brought up, that 88% of the folks are overweight. There's oftentimes, I feel like, resistance due to that fact.
Yeah, I would agree with Lisa wholeheartedly. And Evelyn, in regards to your language barrier, I don't think we know what we don't know. I mean, if there is a language barrier, then we're probably not going to know that. I do know that within Child Care Aware Kansas, we've worked really hard to be more diverse within our language, I don't know, opportunities, or making sure we can reach non-English speaking providers, making sure we have bilingual staff. So if those barriers were there, we can start breaking those down to make sure that we meet providers where within the language barriers that they may feel. So we're working towards that. I don't think it's, it hasn't been that way in the past. But again, if someone had a language barrier, but we weren't able to speak with them in their native language, then we wouldn't know about that. But we're trying to address that on the Kansas side.
We have a
Any other
comment.
barriers?
Chat.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just gonna read. This is from Erin. So she said, for CCL, I do not see many barriers because we have required regulations for activity and outdoor play, weather permitting. That's about.
Yeah, that's in the licensing, and we hope that folks are following that. But I think just like what Lisa had said with providers, it's not only educating, it's getting them to buy in and understand how important it is. One, you can provide those opportunities to kiddos, but if you don't have adults engaging in modeling, sometimes it falls flat. It has to be a complete group effort from adults down to kids.
Mhm. I think a barrier that I've seen with my experience working in technical assistance with the early care and education setting is the lack of indoor space to be able to do physical activity when the weather is not permitting to go outside. I think that sometimes is a challenge too. Also having some kind of supplies, and I know that on both sides of the state, I think that we've done a good job of, giving alternative materials that are not expensive, whether it's loofahs, pool noodles, sponges, something like that. Has helped, I think, a little bit, but I think that is also the realization is that they either don't have an alternative space or their rooms are already so small. How can they move furniture out of the way to be able to still do physical activity when the weather is not conducive to go outside? But I also know there's a lot of early care and education settings. I'm thinking of Montessori that regardless of what the weather is, they're still going to go outside. They're going to put their boots on, they're going to put their gloves on, and they're still going to go outside.
I think through COVID, and maybe Erin can address this, but with the need to be outside, I'm hoping that providers got more creative and spent that time outside. Maybe it was drizzling, maybe it was a little colder than they thought than they would have if it was pre-COVID. But hopefully they saw all the things they can do outside and are carrying on those routines as I don't want to say as we come out of COVID, because we never will, but hopefully they saw that it was worthwhile to get those kiddos outside. Again, when it was a little hotter than normal, a little colder than normal, a little drizzly, they figured out those tricks.
Any other barriers that you'd want to share with the group before we move to question 3? Right. Question 3 is, in your opinion, what are some of the best practices for physical activity in ECE settings?
We have a comment in the chat. Best practices piece is sharing the benefits of the activities. For example, napping, better mental health. And then agree providers attempt to get outside more often due to wanting mass breaks as well. Okay, I think this was related to the comment mentioned earlier.
And feel free to shout out any best practices, shout out. I just put in the chat that, structured and unstructured play and really the importance, I think of the work that Dr. Kraft has done and the training she's provided is just having those opportunities for children to experience gross motor opportunities so that they can develop their skills. I think sometimes that is something that we often forget about, is that sometimes outdoor time is just seen as free time, free play, and there's a lot of learning that does go on during that. But I think also is to stress the importance to providers that children do have to have experience and opportunities to learn their locomotor skills.
Just put a plug in for Go Knapsack that I think if providers take the time to really assess what they're doing, they may surprise themselves like, wow, we're really following the guidelines of the time allotment that kiddos need to be out, engaged in physical activity, the structured, unstructured playtime or time allowed, but really, going through a Go Knapsack self-assessment really helps kind of illustrate that. Am I doing this? Am I not doing this? How can I improve? What do I need to do to improve? So taking the time to evaluate programs.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
We have other comments in the chat. Kyle said limited screen time, use of music and movement.
I miss the days of the record player and the sticks. Don't see those very much anymore. Kind of dated myself, but I really enjoyed doing that as a teacher with the kids.
And that limiting screen time is so tricky because just like what our physical activity was, it was on the screen and it was, we are moving. We got up, we stretched, we did the right things to get our bodies up. So we could definitely, it's a tightrope to play that, providers can do that, but it has to be appropriate. What are you putting on that screen to engage? You don't want to completely rely on that, but there are times that it can be beneficial, just like we experienced.
Agree. Yep. Richard shared screens and movement address some of the teacher comfort and modeling. Agree. I'm sure we could come up with a very, very lengthy list on number 3 for sure. Anything else? Any last comments? Looks like under 3, we have an A. Is your organization currently performing any of those practices? That's probably more on a provider level, probably question, to make sure that, you know, if there's anybody directly working in childcare that's participating today, I think they'd have some really great insight on that. Anybody? Okay, let's go to number 4. In what ways do you engage with families? And an A to that is, do you see an opportunity where you can incorporate physical activity resources and opportunities within the families that you serve? And maybe we'll kind of just edit this one to think of, for those of you that are TA providers, you know, what do you see providers doing to engage families around physical activity? And what opportunities are they sharing with families? What resources perhaps?
I think one of the things that we do through Go Knapsack and other programs and things, when we develop newsletters and that kind of thing, it's a great way to provide ideas and maybe spark some ways that providers can engage families. And then our state information for families on exercising and that kind of thing through our website and Facebook page and that kind of thing.
Great.
We have a comment in the chat. Some of our health departments have created walking trails in their communities and have implemented walking groups in the morning at schools.
That's great.
Eric mentioned, you know, family cafes, and we, through one of our other projects, we provided those. And some providers would engage in the Go Knapsack and bring that forward, whether it was physical activity or nutrition. But it comes back to, again, modeling. If you're having families within your program, if they can see how adults can engage with the kids to make things happen or share resources. It also takes a provider or an adult, you know, that comfort level of kind of performing in front of other adults, but it's all good. And it's the best thing for kids to be able to see that modeling of an adult.
Agree. Any other examples? Erin, I know that you're fairly new in your position, but the visits that you've gone on, have you seen anything in the childcare settings that they're incorporating physical activity into their day and also sharing resources with families? Excellent. Erin said, yes, we see right now early in the morning outside time. Yep, getting outside first thing before it gets heated up. That's good to see. Okay, we have about 4 more minutes, so let's get to the 5th question. Question 5 is, think about professional development opportunities that you would like to have and share with the group.
Well,
What kind of- Mhm.
we work with about 80 programs on the Missouri side through our EduCare program, and then we provide at least 2 trainings a month. One of those is virtual. I would love to see us offer, it's been a while, but I'd love to see us offer a training on physical activity. We've done several on nutrition, but I don't know that we've done one on physical activity. So I would be very interested in looking at that and seeing if we could get that offered to our providers.
And I would
Excellent.
love, Kyle, if you're able to do that, to open it up to the Kansas folks too.
We work with TFC, so usually the clock
Yes,
hours.
yes, that's true. I say that, you know, I'm Kansas side, we've had very limited, well, COVID plus other things funding, but we're starting to do more in-person services. As Lisa mentioned that Missouri was doing the PALS project, that's one thing I'm going to be looking at for our springboard opportunity through Nemours. So just having funding available, the opportunity to do physical activity trainings, you can do them virtually. It's not as impactful as in person. So hopefully as things open up more and more, we will have more opportunities to be able to provide in-person services.
Agree.
And I failed to mention, we are doing a training in September. Maybe I could put that in the link, working with the Burr Oaks Conservation Center in I think it's near Blue Springs. And they have an excellent outdoor curriculum through the conservation department, which does involve a lot of, being outdoors and some physical activity and mimicking, natural animals in the habitat. So I'll put that in the chat, but that's a great resource. I think a lot of our providers don't always think about on the Missouri side, the conservation departments, and it is a really great curriculum.
Thanks for sharing, Kyle. Any last comments? We are almost down to the last minute. I appreciate your guys's suggestions and sharing and opportunities as we continue to move forward on the work in the KCPA plan for early childhood.
I just want to say thank you for
I
the
think Evelyn's
opportunity.
going to take us away. Yes.
This is awesome.
Thank you for sharing. Thanks for being here.
Please share the link for that too, Kyle. That sounds great. Awesome. Thank you.
I will put in a plug that Rich is here from Go Knapsack, and Lisa, he's now going to be working with both Missouri and Kansas, which I think is fantastic that we're going to have the same consultant. So there's, at least that within the Kansas City metro area.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to work with Kansas too. So that's great to know.
Yep.
Excellent.
Rich, did I let something out of the bag?
Probably not.
Did not leave anything out of the bag. It is all open news. So I'm excited. I think this is a really good opportunity to make some cross connections, especially, with all the work that you've already started. So I'm excited to support in any way possible, especially on the physical activity side, since that's where most of my expertise has always been, although I'm growing expertise in many of those other module areas as well. But yeah, happy to help out and find connections any way possible. It was hard for me to stay quiet during most of this. I wanted to hear everybody else instead of me interjecting. So I just listened.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for sharing. We'll be moving back to the main room, I believe, if we're not already there. I think we're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. Well, I guess if nobody else have any final comments, I think I'll just go back now. So in the agenda is until 10:55, so I don't know if I should just bring everybody back.
Nice job, Evelyn. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. It might give some people a chance to go to the bathroom. I feel like the physical activity break was pretty short.
Right, all right.
I guess I'll just put myself back. Okay.